All right. So anyway, the big story is Team USA, Charlie McAvoy, who, according to the Boston Globe, it starts with the Yanks are hurting, which is a lot of fun. Charlie McAvoy was admitted to Mass General Hospital Monday night as Team USA was battling Team Sweden in the Four Nations face-off at TD Garden. Two sources familiar with the situation confirmed. So it's the day after or it's 2 days after the game.
Right.
He gets admitted to the hospital. So you would assume it's not a brain injury, correct? Because they would have probably handled that. People have told me, and I don't even know who they are, people have said it's a shoulder. But I don't know if that to be true or not. That makes sense. It looks like he hit his shoulder, and it looks like, and if he's going in for surgery, go ahead.
Well, the thing that's concerning is that he was, if the report is accurate, that he was admitted to the hospital. It's not like, he went over to the hospital to get some tests done, which you would think if it's a shoulder surgery, you go over, you get an MRI done. They don't admit you to the hospital.
In the Globe, because the Globe is like the paper of record, this is what they have to do. They say McAvoy has a history of shoulder woes and had surgery in 2022 for a left shoulder arthroscopic stabilization procedure. It's unclear if his latest injury is related. So maybe they too have heard that it's a shoulder, but it's not substantiated by the sources. Like they're not don't run with this.
Right.
So anyway, the bottom line is this. If Charlie McAvoy has shoulder surgery and he's out for any length of time, Ryan, if there was any hope
before you just take to the next step, I just wanted to mention Pierre LeBrun from TSN reported this morning, Bruins expected to issue an update this morning, and McAvoy is still having McAvoy is still having tests run on.
That's bad. They're in a hurry to get out ahead of this. There's no waiting, the wait and see. I fear the worst.
All right. Well, regardless, let it be known this will not be announced during our show.
Yes.
It'll be announced exactly at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
They generally do come out at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Bruins, I believe they're supposed to practice. Today's their first practice back for those who are not taking part in the Four Nations, and it's not till 2:00. So unless they're going to put out a special statement this morning regarding this, typically we wouldn't hear from anybody there until this afternoon.
All right, so it would be a special statement. Right. Now, if McAvoy is going to miss any length of time, Lindholm's coming back, but if McAvoy is missing any length of time, how do you think that affects what they do at the trade deadline?
I mean, I think it has to. The expectation in getting Hampus Lindholm back in the lineup is that you're finally going to have your top six healthy, which you haven't had since November when Lindholm got hurt. And, maybe that's a lot of teams would look at that and go, it's like getting a bonus when you're headed to the trade deadline. You're adding a defenseman the caliber of Hampus Lindholm. Now he's essentially going to be potentially replacing Charlie McAvoy in the lineup. So it's not really a net gain of anything.
Right.
And so, your team hasn't been as good defensively as you would have hoped throughout the course of the season. And it doesn't, now if this is serious with McAvoy, it doesn't look like you're going to get significantly better in that department going forward here. And that has to color your thinking if you're Don Sweeney and Cam Neely about what to do at the deadline.
And it also raises questions about what to do with the All-Star break, because obviously this has been a huge boom for the National Hockey League. This has worked incredibly. I mean, the atmosphere is incredible. The ratings as hockey goes have been great. But the problem is, you're going World Cup and Olympics every 2 years. If I own a hockey team, I like the exposure of the game. They're probably making some money. But the thing is that these are balls out exhibition games. Like, these guys are going full tilt. And, it's a contact sport. So someone's going to get hurt. And if you look at the guys that didn't play last night, Austin Matthews, both Kachucks, or one Kachuk, Brady Kachuk left the game.
Right.
We heard beforehand they weren't going to play.
I mean, Vegas has lost Shea Theodore potentially for the rest of the regular season. Like, they're targeting maybe he'll be ready for the playoffs.
Yeah. So is it worth it this is a question, forget the owners, that you have to ask yourself. Is it worth it as a fan of a particular hockey team to have this, 2 weeks in February if it means it changes the course of the season for the team that you root for? That's the thing. Because it's going to happen every year. Someone's going to get hurt in this.
Yeah,
every
I mean,
year.
you're playing these types of games at the level of intensity that they're playing. Yeah, there are going to be injuries, and some of those injuries are going to be serious.
Yeah. So
as much as I hate to admit this, no, it's not worth it. I've enjoyed the hell out of watching all of these games. I didn't think I would, because ultimately, what does it prove? It's not an Olympics. It's not a world championship. It's not anything. But the skill level of these games has been so much fun to watch.
yeah, it's because what it is, John, is exactly that. It's the greatest players in the game trying hard.
It's amazing watching. I mean, it's a level of hockey you just don't see. So it's best on best. Everyone, as you're saying, is trying 100%. But if it means I'm going to lose my top defenseman, and we don't know if the Bruins have lost him. We don't know the severity of injury. But let's say worst case scenario.
It certainly doesn't. It's not
It's
great.
not worth it to me.
Yeah. So say you're a Florida Panthers fan, and Matthew Tkachuk, which is the deal that made you a championship team, he gets in a fight, which he did at the beginning of the
Yeah.
U.S.-Canada game, and breaks his hand. Which these are not pie in the sky things.
No.
Like, I mean, these the two things that about fighting, for my talking to all the guys who fight that I've talked to, is the embarrassment of losing in front of the audience, and then your hands. Like your hands. We've talked about it. You've seen Joey Koser's hands. They're like all calcified.
It doesn't even need to be a fight. Vincent Trocheck took a puck off the hand last night.
Yeah.
If I'm a Rangers fan, my heart's in my throat.
But what I'm saying is that it's beyond just the randomness of getting hit with a puck. It's like they're fighting. Like, and if you hit a guy in the head and you're going to break a finger, and you break a finger and then you're out. So you own the Florida Panthers. You're a Florida Panthers fan. And now the chances of you winning the Stanley Cup go down a million.
Yeah.
Because you've lost the linchpin of your team.
And you don't know how long Kachuk's going to be out. They had him on the broadcast last night. They had him during the second period last night. Very non-committal about whether or not he could play on Thursday. So,
But imagine if the Bruins, this was a year where the Bruins were like on pace to get the President's Trophy.
Yeah, right.
Like, and you lose McAvoy. I mean, this year it's like, okay, they probably weren't going to do much anyway. But if this was a situation where the Bruins were good,
yeah.
you'd be fit to be tied.
Florida's having a good season. Vegas is having a good season. I mean, there are plenty of teams in that category right now.
Right. So the idea, look, they're going to do the World Cup and the Olympic thing. That's what the players want. Fine. But the other 2 years, you can't have this again. You got to go into like a non-physical all-star situation.
There's like a lot of things, though. It's going to be about money.
I know.
This is turning into a major revenue generator for the NHL and the Players Association. They're 50-50 split on this, so the players are getting a piece of the pie here. And the TV ratings are through the roof. So TNT and ABC, ESPN are going to be pushing the NHL hard. Yeah, we want this because this is in February, which is a ratings desert in the world of sports. We get 2 weeks worth of massive ratings for hockey.
Yeah, but then I go, what about my gate? I'm costing myself, 12 playoff games because I lost the guy during this, and I've lost the gate of that and the ratings of that. So, I mean, it's a robbing Peter to pay Paul. I bet you the league wants to do it.
Oh, the league actually, I mean, think about it. They did this during the NBA All-Star weekend. Everyone, regardless of how boring it is, everyone watches this. They did Saturday night.
Well, because the juxtaposition of the two is really good for the NHL,
Yes,
too, because it's such a clown show, the NBA
Yes.
All-Star game, that when you have this level of competition, that even my son, I know doesn't matter, but my son could care less about going to a Bruins game. But he's been on me to try to get tickets to this Four Nations. Now, we didn't get them, and that's great. I understand. And I'm not buying them. So
Come on, Fred. It's only $2,500 for the two of you to go.
Yeah. I took him to the divisional round in Detroit. That was enough. That's
go.
his big ticket. And I bought Tyler, the Creator tickets and Kendrick Lamar tickets for my daughter. I've spent enough on tickets this year. It's over. I'm taking him to spring training. It's enough. No, we will not be going to the Four Nations because he got a wild hair because he's been homesick. If you like that clip, check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. For more Bruins analysis and opinion, hit this playlist.